Hey everyone, I'd like to welcome you to a new show called Gavin's Inner Thoughts. For those of you who have already been listening to my other show called Chatting After Work with Gavin, it is basically the same show. We will just be moving all of the episodes from SoundCloud and Bandcamp over to YouTube. So, without any further ado, let's get this show started. Hey everybody, and welcome to Gavin's Inner Thoughts, the new show of really just the shits and giggles and bullshit inner thoughts that I have throughout the day. Um, if you want to hear me talk about some wild stories or some dumb things or just things that I find strange or weird or piss me off, um, you're in for a treat. If that's not your bag, then I'm sorry, and hopefully I don't fuck up your algorithm on YouTube. Um, but anyway, I I'm not really good at this. I'm gonna be real. Re-recording certain things is kind of annoying, especially since I had like a whole like not like skit or anything like that, but like I kind of list out like, oh, here's some like bullet points that I want to kind of talk about, and here's this, and here's that, and da 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 da. But really, I have nothing. Um, so this is more just like an introduction. I can tell you about some things that I will be getting into. I will probably be probably, Jesus Christ, I can't even talk. I will probably be talking about movies, music, probably some video games, maybe some like TV drama, such as like Jersey Shore and Florida Bama Shore. Um, Not that I actually watch those shows, but I am kind of held hostage to those shows. See, my girlfriend really likes them, and I don't really watch TV, so I just kind of let her have the TV. So when she's like, you know, watching Jersey Shore or Florida Bama Shore or whatever shore, um, I'm just like, I'm just there. And it's one of those things where I start to watch it and I'm like, this is fucking garbage. This is stupid. Why am I even remotely trying to like watch this show? But then it kind of turns into like a dumpster fire where you can't look away. You know, like hated the show, never really paid attention to it. I'm talking about Jersey Shore. I don't know what season it is. I want to say it's season 3. I hate the fact that I know this, but I want to say it's season 3. Um, the girl with the big boobs, her name's like JWoww, Jenny. Um, she was dating this guy named Roger, or seeing this guy named Roger, or maybe they're married. I don't know their fucking life story, but um, they were like, with this person and da 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 da. And I'm like, kind of like watching this, and like this guy, like he's with the Jenny girl, and they walk out on this boardwalk, and some guy starts like talking like hard shit, right? And they're going back and forth, and it's like, oh, go fuck yourself, blah 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 blah. And all of a sudden, the guy Roger like sleeps the dude. He like hits him and knocks him out. And once that happened, I was like, whoa, 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 hold up. Wait, people get like fucked up on this show? And that's what kind of like caught my attention. It wasn't that I really was into like the drama. It was like, oh shit, like people legit get into fights. Okay. And I have to say, like that girl Jenny, she gets a couple of good hits in here and there too. Like that bitch is a scrapper. Like pour one out for JWoww next time you have a fucking Steel Reserves. Um, but that's what I mean. Just little things like that. Kind of like right now, I had to take a break because I kind of talk and then I get dry mouth and then I got to take some water sips. It's a little weird, a little TMI. I don't really give a shit. You're the one listening. Um, but there's like a lot of things that just kind of baffle me a little bit. You um, like I understand certain things, but then at the same time, I don't understand certain things. Um, like you know, I understand when somebody goes, "Hey, quit being racist, quit being homophobic, quit being, like all these like negative things." And it's like I get that. I'm on the same side of like the whole like yeah, don't be a dickhead. But at the same time, not saying that I agree with any of that. But at the same time, if you kind of shift it a little bit, there's certain arguments that I'm like, okay, I can see where you're coming from, but let me just kind of see where, like, how you're saying it or what you're saying. You know what I mean? Like, one joke, there's like a lot of jokes going on about like sex workers. And, if you got your, your OnlyFans and stuff like that, like, that's cool. Do you. I can't knock the hustle. But at the same time, I am going to say, if you're going to have an OnlyFans, fucking make it worth the money. You see what I mean? Like, I'm not against you, posting naked pictures or doing any of that kind of stuff. And I get it. I do. Like, I want you to keep doing that. Like, I think that's fucking dope. But if I'm going to pay money for a monthly subscription, I don't know. I don't really want to see like the stuff that you can see for free. You know what I mean? Like, the hub has everything at your fingertip. There is nothing that you can't search for on the hub that you can't not see. So if I'm subscribing to your OnlyFans and all I see is boobs and ass, I'm not going to subscribe for the next month. You know what I mean? It's like, like what makes yours different from them? I understand like some of these like simpleton fucking dudes out here that are like, oh, well, titties are titties. And it's like, yeah, well, if that's the case, then go on the hub. Why are we even talking about this? Like, just because that one crush of yours from high school has an OnlyFans doesn't mean that like it's got to be like the end all be all. You know what I mean? Like, I will toss, $7 a month if you are doing something a little bit on the hardcore side. Like, if you want your thing to be $20 a month for your OnlyFans, I need to see you with the entire cast of Blacked for $20 a month. Do you know what I mean? For those of you who know what I'm talking about, I hope you chuckled. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, fucking Google. Like it's like it's the same thing with like, if you're gonna just show your tits and ass and you want money for it, be a stripper. There's nothing wrong with that. But like, if you're gonna make me pay money, I want to have my money's worth. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe some people think that way. Other people don't. I don't care. I don't know. You know what else I don't like? I don't like problems that happen like to us as individuals. And I'm not talking about like stress or anything like that. I'm talking about like IBS. You know what I mean? Like for people who poop too much. Like I have IBS. And no, it's not like an STD. For those of you who don't know what IBS is, it's irritable bowel syndrome. Just means I poop after every meal, all right? Especially like spicy meals. But the problem is, I don't know, it might take you 15, 20 minutes to poop. I like to poop for at least like an hour. I need to make sure that like everything is like zen. You know what I mean? Like, like everything from the solid logs to the broken faucet. You know what I'm talking about? Like, regardless, I'm gonna be in there for an hour. Like, I have to. And for some reason, people just don't understand that. People are just like, "Oh, are you just fucking around in the company time?" And it's like, no, 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 no. Like, for some reason, my butthole likes to play this game where it's like, as soon as I'm done pooping, it likes to pucker. It likes to do this thing, and you're like, is it? Am I done? And then my stomach does this weird, like, anxious thing where it's like, I want to be done because we got other shit to do, but like we're still pooping. And I'm like, oh, well, this is fucking how it goes. This is the way it goes, my friend. So I have to sit there and I have to wait for like my entire body to like become in unison to say, okay, we're done pooping. And sometimes that takes like an hour and a half. Sucks to suck. But I will say this: if you ever have problems pooping, and I'm not talking about like, oh, I'm constipated, because I've never had that problem. I mean, I've been constipated here and there, but in the past 5 years, I will tell you, I have never had any sort of problems. You know what I mean? But there's problems where, like, it comes out too much. You know, in the mortal words of Beavis from Beavis and Butthead Do America, I poop too much and then I get tired. So, what happened was there was one time when I was living with my parents, and it was, I think it was like summer vacation or something like that. But I was home and I was like by myself. So maybe it wasn't summer vacation. Maybe like school was in session, but I had just graduated. So I was like at home by myself. I think I was with my little sister at the time. But I had to poop. She was like, watching Teletubbies or whatever. And, so she was like copacetic. I went and used the bathroom, and like it just was like leaking, like just consistently just leaking. Like it was like every time I would shit, it was like wiping the tip of a felt pen. I just couldn't stop. Like I was using so many fucking squares, and then I got into like the wet wipes, and it was just a fucking mess, right? But it was like problematic. It was happening like every, like, I don't know, 20 minutes I was taking a shit. And I called my mom and I was like, Mom, like, I don't know what's wrong. Like, I can't watch my little sister when I'm consistently in and out of the bathroom. Like, it's fucking with me. So my mom was like, oh, well, we have this stuff in the medicine cabinet called Imodium AD. Now, for those of you who don't know what Imodium AD is, Imodium AD is a medicine that makes all of your solid poops into, or all of your liquid poops into a solid. But my problem was I didn't know how much to take. And I was like in so much pain that I was like, fuck it, right? So I just popped the lid off of it and I took 2 solid like gulps out of the bottle. Just glug, glug. Within like maybe 15, 20 minutes, I was good. No stomach problems. All was well. I'm watching my sister. Everything's going well. But here's the thing that kind of ruined everything about that was, I don't know, maybe 2 days later, still not pooping. Still got that Imodium in me. Apparently all of my shit for the past like 2 years decided to fucking coagulate into this giant fucking football. Like, you know that episode of South Park where Randy like shits out the fucking human-sized turd? That was me. I was like, oh no, I have to poop. It's been 2 days, but let me just make sure I can poop. I go in and I am pushing. And this fucking, like, you ever see those like 40-ounce like Hydro Flask bottles? I guarantee you I rivaled that. And I was like scared to like flush it because I knew for a fact that like, ooh, this shit's gonna clog. But it was one of those things where when you have stomach issues, you need to know like what you can and can't take, because if you just go into a medicine cabinet blindfolded, that shit will fuck you up. I promise you. But I don't know. I don't know why I just started talking about poop. Poop is fucking gross. But, speaking of gross things, I was talking to somebody about time traveling movies. And this is kind of like a weird segue. It's not really poop, but it's like gross. And let me explain it. In time traveling movies, such as we'll take Terminator, because that was the argument that we were kind of having today. So in Terminator, you know how like Arnold Schwarzenegger's character, like as the Terminator, he comes back and it's like 1981 or whatever the fuck it is, and he's all like, I need your clothes, your boots, and your motorcycle, and the dude's just like, okay. But that shit always bugged me. That shit bugged me. And this was what the conversation was about, was if you were a time traveler, could you do that? Could you ask some random person for their clothes if you showed up buck-ass naked from, 30 years into the future? I couldn't. Absolutely. I could not. You want to know why? Because that's just gross. It's gross. Can you imagine that? Like, as a man, if I was to get somebody else's clothes and I had to put that dude's fucking underwear on after he was wearing it, fucking gross. If I had to put on, his shirt and it was, just a smidgen of, moist from his sweat, fucking done. Nope, I'm going naked. You know what I mean? If I have to sit here and, I got to put on your socks. Oh, what? No fucking way. If you don't, and that's another thing. You don't know what this person's been doing. You don't know. You showed up and you're like, oh, I need your clothes. And this dude's like, oh, okay, cool. But you don't know if he just cranked one out. You don't know. He probably left some knuckle children right at the bottom of your shirt. And now you got Steve Jizz. You know what I mean? It's gross. You don't need that. All I'm saying is if I had to go back in time and put somebody else's socks on after traveling, I would also be locating and taking out people named Sarah Connor as well. Okay? But I don't know where that came up. I have no clue where that came from. But I do know that was a conversation that we were having today. Seriously, think to yourself, would you, leave in the comments, would you ever wear somebody else's clothes if you were traveling time? Seriously. I really want to know that. I would be buck-ass naked in fucking 1942 if I had to go back in time. You know what I mean? I am not wearing Hitler's fucking jacket. Fuck that. Nope. But, this is kind of what this is going to be about. Just to let you guys know, a little disclaimer. These little random rants, I'm sorry, but this is what you're getting. Let's see. I'm looking around my room trying to figure out something to talk about. I'm looking at my guitars. I haven't played music, specifically played music and tried to play music in so long. I don't know why. Maybe I'm depressed. But no, I haven't wanted to play music or anything like that. I'll hear, I don't know, a song, and I'll start hearing the a drum pattern or a guitar riff or something like that, and I'm like, oh, okay, I kind of like that, and maybe if I play with that a little bit and da 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 da, and I kind of try to look up the song, and I find the tabs, and I find the riff or the lick, and I'll learn it, and then I'll go, okay, well, what if I put a little flair here, or do a little tremolo here, maybe bend this a little bit, and kind of make my own riff up, out of somebody else's riff. I feel like a lot of musicians do that shit, but that's kind of one of my writing processes, is I just kind of really get into a song. I find out how to play that song, and then like I kind of mess with how they wrote their riffs and like play it backwards or play it a little bit different, just so that I can find something new. And then like you keep playing with that, and then all of a sudden you get a whole new song out of like the same chord structures or like scale or whatever. Um, but one of the things that I do like to do, um, and a lot of people are always like, "Oh yeah, it's fucking cool," but like I do it for a different reason. I detune my guitar like a lot. Like I like my strings to kind of be floppy, not like to the point where it like doesn't make any sound. Like I think the lowest I'll go is like B standard, like 3 steps down. Um, and I like that because a like even if if you want to play some like heavy riffs, like it's already in B, so it's already heavy as shit, right? But I also like the fact that it is kind of flobby in a way with the strings. Like there's not a whole lot of tension because like I don't know, I feel like the tapping kind of is easier, and bending you kind of can play a little bit like heavier bends, I guess, if that makes sense. Like instead of like for the musicians out here who will maybe understand this, when you're in standard or like a half step down and you bend, you can bend that note to its next note. So say you bend an A, you can bend it to like a B. But for like detuning, when you bend it, you can kind of go up maybe like a note and a half. So if you're on A, maybe you can bend that up to C. You know, like I don't know. I think that that's kind of cool in a way. Honestly, I think making music in general is cool, and the reason I say that is because when I went to CCBC, the music director there, he said one thing that kind of resonates with me, and he said creating music is finding decibel levels and sound frequencies and warping them to become pleasant to somebody's ear. And I always was like, what the fuck is that? Like, what is this dude huffing on? But when you really break it down, like, that's really all music is. You're just kind of taking sounds and putting them together to make them sound cool, whatever that sound is. But I don't know. I always think that that's kind of neat, like the fact that you can take something that's like loud and obnoxious and kind of like control it. Like, that's fucking cool. I really do think that that's cool. And a lot of people, if you don't think that that's cool, pick up an instrument. I really, like, just seriously pick up an instrument. Any fucking instrument in the world will do. Just pick one up and really start to play with it. And I guarantee you'll be like, wow, this is actually way cooler than I thought it was going to be. And a lot of people always say, like, oh, it's hard to, like, get into music. It's hard to get into playing. Trust me, dude, as somebody with ADHD, do you really think I wanted to fucking play? No, especially back in high school. Like, I wanted to play, but I felt like I was like, I'm not being utilized for like what I could be doing. It wasn't until like I got into like advanced guitar classes in high school was when I was like, oh, okay, I understand some of these like tips and tricks. But like, my first year in high school when I was taking guitar, like we were playing fucking like Skip to My Lou and stuff like that. And I was like, no. Like, there was a kid in my class playing like Master of Puppets on the acoustic. I was like, I want to do that. Like, that's what I want to do. I don't want to fucking, no. But, now that I got into it, I was like kind of trying to figure out where I wanted to go with it. Like, obviously, because it was guitar, I went towards a lot of like hard rock and heavy metal players. At least the ones that I thought were like cool. One of my first like, oh, I want to play guitar was watching a Dimebag Darrell video. I was like 13, and he was like doing like pinch harmonics and like showing you how to do like weird like what are those, like the trill things where you kind of take like your two fingers and you do like the hammer one pull offs like really really fast. I was watching him do some things like that, and I was like, that's cool. Like, I think that that's really cool. Like, if I could learn some shit like that, that would be cool. But then when I was really, like, trying to stay focused on guitar, like oriented stuff, like, or guitar driven stuff. Um, a band that I was like obsessed with, and like I still love them like to this date, and that was the band Korn. Um, James Schaefer and Brian Welch of Korn made me interested in the guitar. And it wasn't because they were playing heavy and hard riffs or anything like that. It was because they were utilizing the guitar in a way where it was a little bit different. Like they were, they had like their heavy, chunky riffs and stuff like that. Like you can listen to like "Here to Stay," "Blind," "Falling Away from Me," somebody, someone. There's a lot of like heavy, chunky riffs in some of their stuff. Um, but at the same time, like during the verses, you can hear that the guitars are kind of like accented. They're not really played for like a riff. It's just kind of like weird sounds that are being played over top of the bass player and the drummer. And I always thought that that was really cool. So when I really wanted to get into guitar, I wanted to see like how they were doing it. And I remember I made my mom buy me a Korn CD because it had a DVD attached to it that was like, you know, how to play like "Falling Away from Me" and how to play Adidas and how to play this. And it was like, it was kind of cool, but it was interesting to watch how they would do like, you know, different kind of like funky sounds. Like in "Falling Away from Me," there's like a snippet where he is on the, I think it's the third string, fifth fret, and he's playing that with the second string open, and it has like this bumblebee effect, and something about that was like, oh, I fuck with that. I don't know what that was, but that was really cool. So, you know, with that being said, so with like Pantera, with like the cool like dive bombs and like the crazy fast like playing that he was doing, I went into like Korn and saw like that they were kind of like using the guitar as like accent markers instead of being like, you know, chunky fucking riffs. But then it all came to a head when in 2004, 2005, I'm not sure which year it came out, but there was this little group from Atlanta, Georgia called Mastodon, and they had put out an album called, what the fuck was it? It was like Blood Mountain, Murder Mountain, something like that. I think it was Blood Mountain. I think it was called Blood Mountain. Or is that the Red Fang album? I don't remember. My phone is over there, and I really don't feel like getting it. We're just gonna say it's called fucking Blood Mountain. Let's just call it Blood Mountain. So they put out this song called, or this album called Blood Mountain, and there was a song called Colony of Birchmen. Colony of Birchmen, that riff stuck in my head for years. And they did this thing where like it was all riff based. Like everything was riff based. There, and like there was a couple little like accents here for like the main riff. But it was like kind of like simple but complex. And I never realized that like Mastodon, they were kind of in like the prog setting of things, like the progressive rock kind of sound. So they played a little bit of like odd time stuff. So I never really understood the whole like time signature thing. So when I was like trying to learn Mastodon songs, I was like, I don't understand how he gets that last like upstroke in. I can't fucking get that. But you know, it took some time and learning and everything like that. But so you got like Pantera, Korn, and Mastodon. when I really was getting into guitar, like I wanted to utilize all of that. That was just something that I found really fucking cool. Um, but you know, it's like a hobby, you know, and with people with ADHD, what happens with our hobbies? We hyper focus on it for about a month and a half. We learn as much as we can about it, and then we lose interest in it. And all we have is useless knowledge and fun facts of said task or said fucking hobby, and we're just like, yeah, this is what it is. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like I need to get back into making music again. Maybe sprinkled in the comments that you want me to make music again, and maybe I'll release it on YouTube as well. And maybe I'll put the Bandcamp link in the comments or in the description or whatever it is. But I don't know. I also am a dog owner. I kind of chuckled there a little bit because understand my dog is my life. I love her to death. But at the same time, I want to throw her across the universe, for a lack of a better term. Like, I don't know what it is, man. Like, my dog does some dumb fucking things, man. Like, I've never seen a dog that will make themselves so uncomfortable just to take a shit. Like, I've watched her sniff for like 20 minutes, sniff, and do the thing where she's like about to poop, and you're like, okay, cool. But she doesn't. She doesn't. What does she do? She gets herself in this weird, like her squatting position, and when she gets into it, what happens? She puts her fucking face inside of a fucking thorn bush and has to be like up against it, and then as she's doing that, the fucking kicker, she has to be like on a hill. It's like, what? Why do you need to be on a hill? Why does my dog have to feel like she has to be Spider-Man in order to shit? However, I will say, side note, when she did shit, this was the first and only time I ever got to physically witness shit roll downhill. So there's that. There's that little fun little tidbit. But yeah, she gets on like this hill, and she has to be like awkward, and then at the same time she's like up against a bush, and like the thorns are like pushing up against her, and I'm like, hey, like, are you okay? And if you fucking say anything to her while she's pooping, she'll stop. She's got like a shy colon. And I'm like, bro, what the fuck? Like at 2 a.m. when you ate the goddamn onions off the floor, you had no problem shitting all over my fucking carpet. But while we're outside, if you aren't next to this fucking rose bush, like, you're telling me that this shit's gonna just screw your entire existence? Okay. But, you know, I just hope that I'm not the only person dealing with a dog that I feel is actively, like, just being a bad girl just because. You know, let me know in the comments. Like, let me know if you got a piece of shit dog. Not like a piece of shit dog, but like, you know, it's like, yeah, she's a piece of shit, but she's my piece of shit. You know what I mean? Like, just let me know. I don't know. I am kind of dwindling here. I don't really know what to say. You know what? I will go ahead and I will cut it here because I know that it is kind of pushing maybe like 35 minutes or so. So yeah, I'll go ahead and end it here. So what I will go ahead and do is say thank you all for listening. I hope that you had some laughs around the way, or along the way, I should say. Jesus Christ. I am fucking tired. Let me wrap this up. I hope that you all had a great listen. I hope you all have a great rest of your evenings. Please feel free to share, like, comment, whatever, subscribe. All makes me happy. But for for the last part and for the most part, if nobody's ever told you yet, you're awesome. You're super rad. And I hope that you guys stay up. See ya.